Today is Wednesday in the daily lectionary, the 5th week in Lent, and the reading is from Mark's Gospel, chapter 15, verses 1 to 15. Jesus before Pilate. Very early in the morning, the chief priests, with the elders, the teachers of the law, and the whole Sanhedrin, reached a decision. They bound Jesus, had him, and led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. "Are you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate. "Yes, it is as you say," Jesus replied. The chief priests accused him of many things. So again Pilate asked him, "Aren't you going to answer? See how many things they are accusing you of." But Jesus still made no reply, and Pilate was amazed. Now it was the custom at the feast to release a prisoner whom the people requested. A man called Barabbas was in prison with the insurrection, who had committed murder in the uprising. This crowd came up and asked Pilate to do for them what he usually did. "Do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate, knowing it was out of envy that the chief priests had handed Jesus over to him. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to have Pilate release Barabbas instead. "What shall I do then with the one you call the king of the Jews?" Pilate asked them. "Crucify him," they shouted. "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. One of the fascinating things about this for Jesus is Jesus only admits that he is indeed the king of the Jews. He will be actually the one who would sit on the throne of David forever, our eternal king. But what's also fascinating to me is just thinking about the hate directed at Jesus. And Jesus is sinless. He's never offended anybody. He's never hurt anybody. He's never done anything wrong. And it just shows us how much the world hates the righteousness of God, particularly embodied in the person of Christ. And we also see that Pilate is kind of onto this, and he sees the whole situation, and his read on the whole situation is that the Jews are envious because Jesus is gaining a following, and that they're upset and kind of being very petty on the issue. But Pilate, who's also not trying to have another insurrection or a bad situation on his hands politically, is willing to oblige the priests and the people and grant their wish and keep with the tradition of releasing a prisoner to them, even though he knows Jesus himself is innocent. Because of the will of the people, he compromises his own integrity and justness, if you will, and his being able to be just. He sacrifices that so that he might please the people, keep his political status, not cause any problems, and so he turns Jesus over and has him flogged and beaten. And it's just amazing to me how Jesus is treated when you really look at this. It's just a perfect summary of how much the sinful nature in the broken world hates the righteousness of God and the ways of God. Have a good day.